Here are their faces. A family lost 3 of its members in a terrible New Year's Day crash. Twain Palmer and 2 of 7 children, 9-year-old Octavius Palmer and 13-year-old Twain Palmer Jr. died in the Germantown Pike crash. News Center 7's Mike Campbell is learning more about the family's tremendous loss.
As deputies continue their investigation, there are grave concerns about the medical future of one of the children that is still being treated here at Dayton Children's Hospital. Meanwhile, the family is taking steps to protect their future.
I mean, as you can imagine, this is a horrifically tragic event.
Michael Wright is a Dayton lawyer that the family of Twain Palmer reached out to help them navigate the worst time of their lives. The 49-year-old Palmer was driving 7 of his children, grandchildren, and friends back home from a family outing.
They were, doing what families do on holidays. They were together and, spending some family time together.
Wright believes the terrible crash should have been avoided, and he echoed what Montgomery County Sheriff's investigators told us about the suspected at-fault driver.
You have a drunk driver going left of center and killing this family.
49-year-old Twain Palmer Sr. was trapped in the vehicle and suffered fatal injuries. The crash also took the life of 9-year-old Octavius Palmer and 13-year-old Twain Palmer Jr. 7-year-old Journey Palmer is listed in critical condition at the hospital. All 3 children are Twain Sr.'s biological children. The other 4 children riding in the SUV have now all been treated and released from the hospital. The 43-year-old driver of the other SUV is at the hospital under sheriff's supervision. The Palmer family, while in shock and grieving, is also looking to protect their future legal rights.
It's absolutely senseless. I mean, we all believe that it's senseless and it could have been avoided.
Deputies continue to monitor the health of the one child still being treated here at Dayton Children's. They are also, of course, continuing to gather evidence, waiting for some test results, as well as they continue to prepare to bring their evidence to the prosecutor for potential charges in this case. In Dayton, Mike Campbell, News Center 7.